Money doesn't announce itself the way people think it does. The loudest person in the room, the one wearing every logo they own, is usually the newest to having any cash at all. Real old money looks almost boring on purpose. And here's the part that messes with people's heads. You can pick up these instincts without ever touching a trust fund, because it was never about the bank account in the first place. It's about a set of habits that got passed down like a recipe, and once you see them, you can't unsee them in yourself. Let's start with something that sounds harmless but explains almost everything else on this list. Old money instincts show up first in how a person reacts to a price tag. Someone new to money looks at the price first, then decides if they want it. Someone with these instincts looks at the object first, asks if it's actually good, and only checks the price to confirm what they already suspected. That single flip in order changes everything about how a person shops, dresses, and even furnishes a home. It's why some people can walk into a thrift store and walk out looking richer than someone who just dropped 4 figures at a mall. They're not being cheap. They're trained to spot quality on sight, the way a chef can tell a good tomato just by picking it up. This instinct alone will save a person more money over a lifetime than any coupon app ever could, and it's the first domino that knocks over almost every other sign on this list. Now, here's something that should stop you for a second. Almost 7 out of 10 people who suddenly land a big windfall, a lottery win, an inheritance, a settlement, are broke again within a few years. Not decades, a few years. Compare that to families who've held on to wealth for generations, where the money somehow survives wars, divorces, bad decades, even a few genuinely dumb heirs. The difference isn't the size of the fortune. It's that one group was taught to spend like the money is proof of something, and the other group was taught the exact opposite lesson, that spending is the last thing you do to prove anything. That gap in mindset is sign number 2, and it's bigger than most people realize. Old money instincts treat spending as private, almost embarrassing to talk about. Not because of shame, but because talking about money is considered a little bit tacky, like chewing with your mouth open. You'll notice people with this instinct rarely mention what something cost, rarely ask others what they paid for things, and get visibly uncomfortable when money becomes the topic of conversation, instead of the thing sitting quietly in the background. Meanwhile, people newer to wealth often can't help themselves. The price becomes part of the story. I got this for $400. Old money instinct doesn't need that sentence to exist. The item speaks, or it doesn't, and the price stays out of it completely. If you've ever felt a small cringe when someone announces a price unprompted, that cringe is the instinct talking. Here's where it gets a little uncomfortable, because this next one exposes people fast. Watch how someone treats a waiter, a cashier, a cleaner, anyone who isn't in a position to do anything for them. This is the tell that almost never lies. People chasing status tend to save their charm for people who matter, people who can help their image, and get sloppy or dismissive with everyone else. Old money instinct does the opposite, treats the waiter with the same warmth as the CEO, because status anxiety simply isn't running the show. There's no fear of being seen as beneath someone, so there's nothing to prove by looking down on anyone. This one is sign number 3, and it's the one people fake the worst because it's nearly impossible to fake consistently. You can dress the part for one dinner. You can't perform basic decency to strangers for years without it becoming real. Now, think about silence for a second, because this is where things get interesting. Put 2 strangers in an elevator. One of them starts filling the quiet immediately. Weather, small talk, anything to avoid the awkward pause. The other one just stands there, completely at ease, like silence is a normal part of being a person instead of a problem to solve. That second reaction is old money instinct number 4, and it comes from growing up in rooms where nobody needed to perform for approval. Silence, to that mindset, isn't emptiness, it's just space. People without that background often mistake quiet for danger, like something's wrong if nobody's talking, so they scramble to fix it. Watch how a person handles a long pause in conversation, and you'll learn more about their internal wiring than an hour of small talk could ever tell you. Sign 5 is going to sound backwards at first, but stick with the logic. Old money instinct avoids anything flashy, not because flashy is bad, but because flashy invites attention, and attention invites questions, comparisons, and eventually jealousy. That's the actual root of what people now call quiet luxury. It was never really about aesthetics. It's a defense mechanism dressed up as a style choice. A worn leather bag with no visible logo isn't an accident, it's armor. A plain watch that costs more than a car isn't modesty for its own sake. It's a way of avoiding the exact kind of attention that makes wealth a target instead of a tool.
This instinct explains why some of the wealthiest people you'll ever meet look almost unremarkable, while some of the most broke people you know are drowning in logos. The goal was never to look rich. The goal was to never look like a target, a mark, or someone trying too hard. And here's the sixth one, the one that ties every other sign together, whether people realize it or not. Old money instinct treats money as something you move through, not something you chase for a feeling. Spending happens, sure, but it happens on a schedule that already accounted for tomorrow, next year, and the version of the family that hasn't been born yet.
That's a strange way to think if you've never been taught it, planning around people who don't exist yet, but it changes every decision along the way. A car isn't bought because it feels good in the moment. It's bought because it still makes sense in 5 years. A vacation isn't funded by dipping into savings meant for something else, because that boundary was set up so early it doesn't even feel like restraint anymore. It just feels like the only way to do things. Compare that to spending built entirely around this month, this feeling, this moment, and you start to see why one version of wealth tends to disappear in a single generation, while the other version somehow survives everything thrown at it. None of these 6 things require an inheritance, a family name, or a 100-year-old house on a hill somewhere. They require noticing your own reactions, catching the moment you check a price tag before the quality, catching the urge to mention what something cost, catching how you treat someone who can't do a single thing for you. The instincts were never locked behind money. They were only ever locked behind attention. And attention is the one thing everybody already has, whether their bank account agrees with them or not. If any of this hit home, you can back the channel by buying me a coffee through the link in the description. Every bit helps keep these videos coming.